Well, we're live. I don't know what we're supposed to be waiting for. Jeremy promised me a big fiasco, a big event. It seems like he's let us down again, folks. I don't know. I don't know what he wants from us here. He promises these things, sells some Wolf tickets. The next thing I know, I'm sitting here. There's no co-host. I haven't spoken to Jeremy all day. I don't know. Oh no.
At the end.
Wow. Where do we go from here?
I'm dying to this thing.
You said I might quit. I think I'm done. And this is it. Look at this. Look at this insanity. What terrible planning this was. Listen, okay, you gotta know risk reward on a bit, okay? This was insanity. Oh, the hair is being pulled through the mouth.
Joseph, I'm dying.
Dude, this is the end of the show. What is this shirt you're wearing? What is going on here? Forget this shit. What's going on here?
It's a Yowie Wowie. It's got the Universal. This is a kid size. Yowie Wowie.
Oh, it's a separate piece. I thought it was like a single shirt. Okay. Yowie Wowie. It looks like an apron. Oh man. I didn't know when you were gonna come in with this bit. I didn't know if it was a pre-tape, live. It was both, apparently.
It was both, Joseph. I'm here.
I know.
What are we talking about today?
Guys, I sat there for 15 minutes, just dead air, silence, because Jeremy didn't want to spoil this bit. Incredible. However, you cannot bring me down today, Jeremy, because you warned me. You told me, you said, I might ruin the show, I might cancel, you might have to quit. But I know what you were trying to do. In 1 hour, Big Shot Bob is back, okay? Such a significant event that I am no longer Pepsi Max in this show. We're going shoot Coca-Cola.
Oh
shoot Coca-Cola, because you can't bring me down. I know that was the ploy, this Durf Bray bit, and then I'll run Joe off, he won't see O'Neal, all of that fun. Not today, my friend. Not today. How are you, Jeremy?
Joseph, I was in that tape for like 8 minutes, and I could not breathe. I was hyperventilating. I think I cut my lip because the tape was jammed up into my tooth.
Wow. Why? For what reason?
Dude. My executive producer finds this Bray Wyatt. I've already taken it off. Finds this Bray Wyatt. Did you see my gloves, Joseph?
No, it was the face was my focus.
And oh my God. I had the hurt in the heel gloves.
This is not true. We need to seriously look, guys. We got basketball to talk about, wrestling to talk about, all that good stuff. But we now need to come together and give Jeremy the assistance he needs. Okay, this needs to be the end. There could be no more. Okay, where do we go from here? I'm sitting here I don't know what's going to happen, dude. Anything could happen. I did not know. Sizzlers, I was waiting for. I was waiting for the lights to go out. I didn't want to blow up your bit, but I'm thinking, what is Lambert planning here? I didn't know.
My executive producer finds this kid's child's Yowie Wowie vest and was like, here you go. Got it for you for a bit. Didn't put any other thought into it. Just do something as a bit. And me, Joseph, being a creative layer genius, like my hero, my god, Bray Wyatt, I had to go all out for it.
I know you missed. I can't endorse or encourage this behavior. I'm sure our audience will, because they want you to just continue Bray Wyatt in it until the end. I respect it, but man, where do we go from here? I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know. JJ sends a super chat. Says, hello, my favorite big stars. Hope you're doing well. I can't breathe. I'm having so much. The intro was fantastic. Love you both. Kevin Steets says because he loves this business. I don't know. I don't know what I can do after that, Joseph. I don't. I mean, but you know, the Fiend, he's going to keep coming up with the most creative shit in the entire wrestling universe, and he's going to keep inspiring me because that's what he does.
Speaking of the Fiend, have you heard about his new creative idea for a match with Randy Orton at WrestleMania?
Yeah, it's going to have a straight wrestling, Greco-Roman style wrestling match.
Yes, he's satirical, you see. Do you get it? It's layered, inverted. Is that what we start now? Do we talk about wrestling at this point? Or what do we do? We're now 6 minutes into the show. I spent 20 minutes before the show fearful as to what you were about to do. I then saw that let me in bit that's going to haunt me for my life. We only have like 15 minutes until O'Neill's here. So we need to talk about wrestling now. So with that in mind, Jeremy, I'll try and lead things here because you feel like you got enough on your plate, okay? Try to recover. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and Randy Orton. Are we getting a stipulation on this thing? What are we thinking?
I think they're just going to have a straight wrestling match, Joseph. I think they're going to go out there. Bray is going to prove that he is the worker that everyone says he is. Randy, he wants to do his nice, crisp 15-minute technical wrestling match with the head box and the cool drop kick that I think he still does, and the limb work and all that stuff. And then they'll build to some dumb match at, I don't know, Extreme Rules, horror show at Extreme Rules. Isn't that the next pay-per-view? Backlash.
So do we think the crowd is a factor here? Is that kind of the belief that there's because whether it has a stip or not, it does seem increasingly likely they're going to have a match live. Yeah. Is that a crowd play? Do they want to do the co-entrances and use the audience while they're there? I'm not sure.
Can they do like a fun house-esque match with a live crowd? Is that possible? Based
on the fact the last one took like a day to shoot, I don't think so. No, I'd suggest they could.
We need the maggots on the mat. That's all I care about. The maggots model. Oh. That's all I care about.
Well, that's the big question, right? Is this match going to be better or worse than their infamous WrestleMania 2017 match, which truly is one of the worst WWF title matches ever produced on WrestleMania? Is this going to be better or worse? What do we think?
Joseph, I can barely see.
But nonetheless, your instincts here. What are you thinking? Better or worse?
I think it's going to be better because maybe that's the point. Like, that's the layer to this, Joseph, is, hey, remember that shitty WrestleMania match we had however many years ago with the maggots on the mat and everybody hated it? We're going to go out there and we're going to prove that we can do just a great wrestling match without all the pomp and circumstance. And then they will, get to the fun house stuff next month.
So you're saying that they've spent 6 months building a feud around fire and childlike imagery and characters, demonic figures, supernaturals, to build to a match which effectively is only there to prove the inside wrestling bubble wrong about Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt's chemistry. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes. That's the genius. That's the genius of my man Bray Wyatt.
I absolutely love it. Now, I feel like it's my responsibility, based on what you've done here, to try and guide this into the show that I thought it would be when we spoke this morning, and I texted you because you said we couldn't, no talking face to face. We can't do that. It was like a mafia deal. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. He just said, "Show up at this time, see what happens." It's waiting for a guns. It was very scary. I'll leave it there, okay? But nonetheless, Mania, we now have basically the core pieces of the 2-night card, right? Effectively, there's going to be obviously 101 matches more.
Yeah.
But we know the centerpieces. So we have Bob and Drew. We have the big Edge and Roman fiasco, which we can get into more detail. But the one that was added this week that maybe stole the headlines as far as what it means for the card and what it means for the division was Rhea and Asuka, right? Are you excited about this match, or are you just going to wait and see what Charlotte's involvement is? Where are you at with this thing?
I think they're doing Charlotte and Bayley. I think that's the route they're going. I've talked myself into this Charlotte and Bayley match. So I think they're just going to do Rhea and Asuka straight up. And we were talking up on the Twitch of all the women's matches that they're going to do this week with Io and Raquel, Sasha Bianca, and Rhea and Asuka, we both agreed Rhea and Asuka is probably going to be the best match out of all of this. I mean, no offense to the other matches, but I think Rhea and Asuka, they're the two most polished workers out of the groupings here. And I think both of them have a lot to prove, assuming they get the time. That's always the big question, right? Like, are they really going to give that much time to Rhea and Asuka? I don't know. I hope they do. But I think this will be the best women's match of the week. And I hope they don't touch it. I hope they don't. It feels so cold though. Like Rhea comes in, she's, I guess, a heel because she capitalizes words on Twitter, you know? And now she's just going to face Asuka, who's been like a nothing champion for 6 months now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, right? The whole division's been a mess, but then that, to me, that gets us to where we are as far as like what needs to happen here. Of all of the matches, I've seen a lot of discussion about Belair needs to win, Banks needs to win. It really feels like Rhea needs to win this here. Like, I feel like this division, since the redraft 6 months ago, has been just a complete, like, nothing has been achieved. You know, like the most they achieved was getting Lana over, which, like, you know, that was what it was. They got Lana over. Good job.
She's winning the tag team titles. That's what happened.
Fun. That's a good spot for her. She's working hard. Good for her. But we're talking big picture here. This Rhea feels like the chance to salvage what has really been a just dead 6 months where you've wasted time. I think there's something to be said. I mean, you have a great match, but I think you want Rhea to win this thing emphatically, right? Am I wrong? What do you think? Who needs the Mania win more out of like her and Belair, Banks, all those names?
I think so. Out of all the women, the women on WrestleMania, who needs to win the most? Honestly, Asuka. I don't think she'll get it though, but I feel like she needs it the most.
Yeah, that's probably the wrong term of phrase, right? Like, it's probably better to say which is the most kind of important decision to get right. Because look, okay, we both admire Asuka, but
yeah,
it kind of feels like you're just spinning your wheels. And regardless of what she does at Mania, you have to like do something fresh for her anyway.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it's like,
yeah.
I completely agree with you. Putting it that way, she definitely needs it most. But at this point, it's like, you know, they've done enough damage that you would rather start fresh with her anyway, I feel. So
in that case, then I think Belair needs like the real star-making performance out of this group. Because look, Rhea, like, she's been NXT champion. She wrestled Mania last year. I know it was in front of no crowd and everything. Like, she's been on the main roster a little bit, and it feels like they're presenting Rhea with a hype video and just immediately coming out and challenging Asuka. And you know, she was final 2 in the Rumble. Like, Belair won the Rumble. They've done more damage to Belair since winning the Rumble than Rhea, who was just off television and then just came out and, you know, she pointed to the sign and it's like, okay, give me a WrestleMania match. So it's like, all right, cool. Like, Belair, they've damaged actively by having her win the Rumble and challenge Banks.
The TV is like, this sometimes the best place to be is just off TV.
Yeah.
You know, like it really is. The chat is informing us that Oladipo has gone to the Heat, which seemed likely when the Lowry thing kind of fell apart, right? Like, that was going to be their backup. Like, that's fine. Yeah. Nonetheless, back to wrestling. It is interesting that these two title matches at WrestleMania, you can tell a story with both of them where it's like 4 women trying to win the big one, right? It's like a weird element. It's like you have Banks, who's never won at Mania, as far as I know. Belair she's just never won gold. So, like, this is her first chance to change on the main roster. And then on the Raw side, obviously, Rhea's 0-1 at Mania. And kind of, if you tell the story correctly, you can kind of frame it as she kind of choked to the status quo, so to speak. And Asuka has like a weird dynamic with the big one, right? Like, it's a weird thing what they've done with her, because Mania famously lost to Charlotte, and then she kind of fell away, came back, fell again. It's a weird spot to be in. I think we all think so highly of the 4 women involved, but it's like, it does feel like all of them need to win in some ways, if you're looking at it just from their perspectives. Banks Belair is a hard one, I feel, though. I really do. I feel like Belair's the obvious choice, but there is something to be said for like the reign that Banks has had. Like, do you want to just wrap it up at Mania and move on? Like, it's not been great for her. Not her fault. Carmella, and that's it. And tag stuff. So they're in a bit of a jam, really, man. They've cornered themselves slightly. It's going to be interesting.
I'm shocked they've cornered themselves going into WrestleMania. They don't have any plan with this stuff, Joseph. Like, they don't know what they're doing. I put more effort into this bit than they put into their WrestleMania card. We put more effort into our booking than they do theirs.
Well, hang on now. How much effort you say you put into that bit? Now I'm intrigued. How many days ago did you have this thing mapped out in your head?
My executive producer gave me this vest on Tuesday night. So, but it's still more effort. But she gave it to me and was just like, do what you will with it. And instead of just being like, oh, I'll just wear this vest on the show and that's it. That's the only effort. I'm like, all right, let me take my face. Let me do the gloves. Let me put together this video package with the fucking jacket. Do you know how many people I DM'd to be like, hey, you have a Jack in the Box that you could film yourself using?
I don't want to know, man.
So many people. Pulowski, McCarthy, they're all like, I don't know what you're asking for. I don't have one, but I'm very intrigued. Chris sent a message and said, where's it out here? Our buddy from Music and Moonsaults, Chris, where is the damn? There it is. Okay. So I'm even more bummed I couldn't assist with that glorious display. See, I sent him a message, although Gauze probably would have the same effect to say, you know what, Chris? I don't care about Gauze because Gauze would have, wrapped the whole thing. You got to give the impression of the lip and the nose going all different directions that you got, messed up. Gauze is going to cover all of that. Don't question what I put into the bit, Chris.
Man, you're out of control today. This show. Thank goodness we have O'Neil, right? WWE's in the corner and Rob's right next to him. PJ Tucker ready to go, so that's good. Now, nonetheless, there is one story at Mania. Now, some would argue it's an indictment that the Edge is in the most interesting story at WrestleMania in 2021. I will not debate that here on any other platform. I'm done with that, okay? However, I think we all agree the most interesting story is the Bryan-Edge dynamic. Whether you like it or dislike it, I know you've had a lot of fun with it, but we both, so just for folks that wanted to watch Fastlane's, our takes on that, we did a full review on Twitch. It's harder to, 4 days later to remember what happened, so that's there. But we both on that show kind of collectively found we dug what they did on Sunday, right? With that thing, it was a nice kind of morality play deal. It was overbooked, but I didn't think in a bad way or an insulting way. It was old school WWF booking, and I don't think that as an insult. It was good stuff. It was drama. So with that, my big question coming out of it is, are we building to another Daniel Bryan title win here? Is Bryan the fall guy for Reigns, which then turns Edge heel? Is Edge going to beat Bryan and then Reigns is left without the belt? There's 101 ways to look at this, but what do you think the most likely is?
Most likely to me is Reigns retains pinning Bryan. Edge goes further deeper into a descent of madness because he didn't get his one-on-one match. Daniel Bryan got added. Why should he have been added? He didn't win the Royal Rumble. That whole thing. Mm-hmm. The issue, and then you lead to a Bryan and Edge match, and you do something else with Reigns for the time being. The issue with this is if Edge is going heel, Roman ain't going anywhere as the top heel. And you doing that as a heel versus heel dynamic, I don't know where you're going. So do you hold off on Edge getting that one-on-one match? Is Edge, does he win Money in the Bank and become opportunistic off of that then? There are a bunch of directions. I think Bryan taking the fall to Roman and Edge going, just full on heel. That's my guess as to where they're going. And then after that, they can do a couple different things with that. What do you think?
I like that. I think if we kind of imagine a world in which Cesaro beats Seth at Mania, he could then slot in as Roman's next babyface challenger.
Yeah.
And then with the Money in the Bank thing that you pitched, Edge's brand status is kind of weird anyway right now. You could use that to have Edge cash in on Drew maybe. Right. Who I assume we'll get the belt back. I'd imagine Edge wants to go program with Drew as the heel. I mean, that works, right? I feel I think the thing with Edge is I understand why people are pro and whatever with Edge, but it's I haven't got a problem with his champ. It just felt really silly and still does to me, the idea of sacrificing Roman for Edge. It always felt kind of short-sighted. Drew, on the other hand, is just more replaceable. It's not a knock. Roman's just so clearly top guy in the brand, so in the promotion. So it's going to be interesting. I do think there is a chance, though, that we get a Bryan win. I don't know, man. Live crowd, dude's got momentum. You could beat him the next night and it wouldn't hurt him at all. Like, people love Daniel Bryan.
I wouldn't.
Well, I'm saying, like, that's the beauty of a guy, Daniel Bryan, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can do it and be done with it. I just think there's a good chance they want to end night 2 of WrestleMania with a triumphant kind of glory days moment. And what's a more iconic triumph in the last decade than Bryan in New Orleans? Like, it'd be a cool, I don't know, I think it'd be a nice circle back. Do I expect it? No. But I like that, even though I'm not a big triple threat guy, the way they've got this position, it does feel like every scenario is possible right now. And that's good. Like, that's a credit to them, whether or not it's an indication they don't know themselves. I don't know. It's nothing to do with it. But I think, frankly, as far as interest, I think that thing's carrying this Mania right now. There's nothing else as far as like story, you know? It's just matches for the sake of matches.
What are the odds that Edge comes out of Mania with the title? Because I've pitched Roman winning. You're thinking they're going towards Bryan. Where are we at on Edge winning?
Well, when it was the Rumble, I was like,
yeah, I know.
I was completely dismissive, so everyone can ignore me on this. But I mean, I think there's a chance you have Edge beat Bryan, like in a truly heel fashion. You know, like he low blows him or does something, hits him with a belt, whatever. The question is, though, then where do you fight? Where do you place Roman on the chessboard, right? Because, okay, that's fine. We can then run with Bryan and Edge as a title program. We're going to have Roman do non-title stuff. That makes no sense. He would immediately go back for the belt. So unless you want to do heel, which you mentioned earlier, like, which I just, you know, with those two characters, I would rather not. It seems like somehow Edge has ended up being the least likely winner of a match that, like a month ago, people kind of thought he would win. So I don't know. Time will tell.
Yeah, it's tough with Roman because Edge, like I was saying with a Roman victory, Edge you can still slot as a lower position as a heel because you can do the feud with Bryan as a non-title thing. You can give him Money in the Bank. I like your idea if he cashes in on Drew, goes to Raw. Like they need heels. We love Lashley. We love the Hurt Business. I don't know how much they see them as like a long-term. Like they're already teasing them breaking up and stuff. Yeah. Like I just don't know how much they see Lashley as like that long-term heel, which they probably should. That's neither here nor there. So you can send them back to Raw and be okay. With like an Edge title victory, it's a little bit tougher to go like, okay, Roman's going to feud with Bryan over not the title now. And then like Edge is going to feud with somebody like Cesaro for the title. It's just tougher. So, because Roman's whole deal is like, he's the champion. He's the head of the table. He should like want the match, or he should want the title back if you lose it. At least Edge, there's the out of, okay, I want the title, but you also fucked up my chance at a one-on-one match. Let me do that program with you. And then go on to that. It's tough seeing Edge winning this and then Roman being slotted lower because of it.
Is there a chance that Edge is going to leave with the title here as a babyface? And what we've got for the last 2 months
not with the crowd, no.
Well, maybe not. I mean, here's the thing is, I think you can tell the story in a way where this was just a case of like a good guy leaning into his old instincts because he's chasing that old prize. You know, I think you can do that, but it'll be hard to do. Like you'd almost, I think, in that scenario, have to do Bryan and Edge on night 1, and Edge wrestles him straight up, beats him, and then like Bryan, they kind of settle their issues, and Bryan's like, go get him. That kind of deal is what you have to do. I don't think you can do it in a triple threat because how would you make him a babyface? You know, it's a weird one. It's interesting, man. It's pretty like ambitious storytelling from the way I perceive it. Like I like it. I like the idea of it. Whether by the end of WrestleMania I'll still like it, I have no clue. But at least there's something, right? There's something to talk about with it.
I don't think they're doing the night 1, night 2 deal with this. I know we talked about that before, but now like night 1 starting to fill out and everything, like it seems like they're pretty slotted on where everything is with that. So I don't think it's going to be night 1, night 2. And if they go with like, hey, you know, go get it, turn an Edge babyface essentially after all of this stuff. I've said it for weeks. Edge has been a little bitch throughout this whole thing. Like I can't see the end game being him being a bitch throughout this thing and complaining about Bryan getting this spot and everything, and then just being, oh, they're just gonna wrestle a singles match, and Bryan's like, good job, you're the better man, go get that title. Like that doesn't make sense to me. Like it just doesn't. Makes no sense. Otherwise, Edge should have just been like, yeah, have your match with Roman. It's cool. I'll face the winner at Mania. Like that's much. It feels like they're trying to. If they go with that scenario, it would have felt like these past few weeks have just been wasted, and they were trying to get. I don't know if it's even too cute. They just got stupid with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like what they've done these past few weeks and what they did at Fastlane, it's got to tell more of a story than Edge is still just conquering babyface at the end of Mania.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think you're right. I wonder where this Mania, WrestleManias have a history of, in both directions, changing their perception on the night of the show, which makes sense, right? Like some of these shows have terrible builds and the matches hit, so you don't remember, vice versa. Instincts right now. Do we think this is going to be a Mania where the talent is so strong and they're positioned well enough, the matches are going to hit and they'll be like, that was a cool Mania. Crowd's back, Phil will be happy. I think so too, yeah.
Yes. Because, you look at some of these matches, like, I think Drew and Lashley is going to be good. I think Banks and Belair is going to be good. Asuka and Rhea, whether it's a triple threat match or whether it's the singles with Roman and Edge, even like Miz and Bad Bunny, like that, they'll do enough kind of smoke and mirrors kind of stuff where people are like, oh, that was a fun little celebrity match. Mm-hmm. What else on the tag team match? AJ's going to do a lot of the bulk work. Woods and Kofi are great. I'm sure he can stand there and throw some punches or something. Hopefully he rocks his head back like the Big Show when he gets hit. What else is on this card? Am I missing anything? That's everything announced so far, right? Oh, Fiend and Orton, obviously.
Of course,
yeah. Like that's going to be a 5-star classic, I would imagine. And if you add like Charlotte and Bayley, dude, this talent is so good. We say it before, we get dunked on because we say this roster is very good. And like just let them go out there and have just clean wrestling matches, and you're probably going to get a good show out of it. The issue is going to become if they try to do too much dumb shit on it.
So we had like a kind of fleeting conversation about this on the Twitch, but neither of us, we kind of both of the belief that the night one main event debate is like, here's the problem with that is if your issue with Banks and Belair is the build, very fair issue to have because, there's been some issues. Bob himself said he has no build with Drew. About no chance. Like, are we confident that Banks and Blair are going to close night one, or are you saying it's done? They're doing Bob and Drew. What are you thinking?
I think it's Lashley and McIntyre. Like I do. Both of the builds haven't been good, but this is this is a thing of McIntyre and Lashley have had less time to build, so it hasn't been as bad as Banks and Belair. Like that's the thing. It hasn't had as many weeks to get screwed up as they've done with Banks and Belair.
Which match do you expect to be better?
Banks and Belair.
I agree. But I think with a slight asterisk, I think I'm very confident of what Drew and Bobby's going to be, which is like a good physical 15-minute wrestling match. I'm very certain of what it's going to be. But Banks and Belair feel like it has a way higher ceiling. Like it feels like it could be an absolute show stealer classic.
Yeah.
But because Blair is so new to this stage, there is also this element of like, it feels like the floor's lower too. I'm confident in them stealing the show and doing great, but it would be interesting. That's a big spot for Blair. She had what's like her biggest pay-per-view match since coming out.
I was gonna say like not even like her biggest pay-per-view match. Like her biggest standout singles match is what Shayna against Takeover. Right. Like
she's still very raw, right? She's still new, so it's difficult. I think that isn't a factor. Would that make me not main event them? No.
Yeah.
Because, I think there's a significance to that frankly just can't exist with Bob and Drew, which is just like a fine professional wrestling match, like you just do what people want you to do. It's not going to hurt anyone. It's an interesting WrestleMania in that it's going to be memorable regardless because we have fans back. And let me tell you something, Jeremy Lambert. I remember a year ago sitting here and breaking down WrestleMania. And us being like, well, maybe they'll go close for a bit and then things will be back to normal by SummerSlam. And, well, maybe the Survivor Series. And we have just done a year of program. And fans are going to be back for this, okay? For better or worse, right or wrong, not my decision to make, clearly. They're going to be back, so it will be significant for that alone. I just wonder if now with 3 TVs left, 3 SmackDowns, 2 Raws, can we actually get some momentum beyond just the event itself and the brand? It looks kind of unlikely, but we have a couple of weeks. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. But have you got a comment on that, Jeremy? Sorry, I'm hosting the show, so I'll pass it back to you. What you got?
I actually do think they'll get some momentum in these final couple of weeks because they'll just kind of keep it rather simple. Because the issue with WWE is like they have so many weeks of television to fill, and then they throw in these pay-per-views, and they need to fill those pay-per-views, and they clearly don't have a long-term plan of where they're going with a lot of this stuff, to where they're just doing the same matches, or they're not even getting cute, they're just getting stupid when it comes to the builds. But like the final week kind of stuff, all they basically do is throw them out there, have them cut some promos. Like the talent can cut a good enough promo. They can put in a line or two where it's like, oh yeah, that was like really good. Like Cole and O'Reilly. Like we've both been kind of like, we were interested in this match when Cole turned, and then they did the weird stuff with like O'Reilly looking like a zombie coming out and everything. I thought last week when they like had him arrested and the fake shoot brawl in the gym and stuff, like none of that's for me. But like the promos those two men delivered last night, tremendous stuff. And they're 2 weeks away from that match. You just do like a video package on them next week, and it's like, all right, you're good. Like that's what you remember. I feel like that's what they're going to do here. They're going to have the big pull apart between Drew and McIntyre, Drew and Lashley at the final Raw and stuff. Like the promos will be good enough. They can get out of their own way in the final 2 weeks.
I agree. I think it's when they, as you pointed out, it's like when they have to try and build plot devices, and Reginald's here, and they're going to, I'm with you 100%. Now, speaking of hype, about 4 months ago,
Let me catch up on some super chats.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Ray Callahan Jr. says, start in the ring, work backstage, and cinematic. Talking about Fiend and Orton. You can do something like that. JJ says, love being the screenshot guy. Amazing shots. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to see them. Bud Ryan says, thank you for all the streams this week. Kept my spirits high during some rough work days. Look forward to the trade deadline talk. Bray IQ equal Lonzo basketball IQ. It's very high. Lonzo, everyone says. Remember when Lonzo came into the league and he threw like one outlet pass, and then like the next play, like Kuzma threw an outlet pass, and the Lakers commentators are like, outlet passing by Lonzo is just contagious around this team. Like he. All right. What are we talking about now? Go on.
So, about 4 months ago, you and I sat down and spent, I believe, 15 hours booking the CZW Ring of Honor of our generation, which would be the Impact Wrestling AEW promotional war. Since then, our friend TK, who, by the way, has not paid me for the last month on my work, so I would like to mention that live on air. I believe you have been paid based on the gimmickry you've been adding recently, but nonetheless, that's another thing. So, Ben, he's been doing the paid ads deal. And the Good Brothers have come across to do TV matches, which have all been pretty good. Like they had some great multi-mans with Kenneth, right? It was good stuff. Kenny looks like he's going to win the world title in Impact. But generally speaking, I think I have just covered like everything that's happened, right? It's been almost 4 months.
Yeah.
Is this a flop or a mere case of imagination and itself run wild, when in reality all they were doing was like a sort of, just like we're now friendly, we're going to do some stuff together. You kind of need a little bit of help relevance-wise, so we're going to send this a favor. Is this a case of us misreading, or is it not living up to even the lowest of expectations? What do you think?
I think it's both. Like maybe that's a cop-out answer.
It's fine. I do it all the
time. But like, I do think we let our expectations run wild of, we're going to get dream matches now. Like Deanna is going to come over. Chris Bay is going to come over. Sammy Guevara is going to go to Impact. And it seemed like that was on the books, and then it just didn't happen. Moxley's going to go to Impact. Like, I think we just got kind of caught up in that and what it actually meant as far as potential dream matches, and doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Maybe it still does. Maybe they do. I mean, are you still high on Good Brothers against Mox and Kingston on a Impact pay-per-view at some point?
I think I have come now full circle around to the other idea we had, where I think it's almost more likely they beat the Good Brothers for the AEW titles. Is where I've ended up now at this point. Remember we talked about it's a double or nothing, that whole deal.
Yeah.
But at this point, like the Good Brothers just feel like AEW talent, right? They're on it every week, so
Right.
that even feels different now. I don't know.
And then I think the Good Brothers, I don't know, they're full on thinking here. Clearly they could have gone to AEW if they wanted to when they were released by WWE. It seemed like Impact offered them a very good deal, and then they just can still work AEW. Anyway, it seemed like it worked out pretty well for those guys is what I'm saying. I don't know if they're doing talk and shop if they're under AEW contract. You know what I mean?
I don't know if they are on their own podcast talking about who they make more money than in WWE. I don't think they would do that. I think they'd probably leave that.
Not just the Talk and Shop podcast, like Talk and Shop Mania.
Oh, I'm with you. Yeah.
I don't think that's happening.
It's this bit they've done pretty good.
Yeah.
For a couple of guys that apparently suck, they've done pretty good. Yeah, it's wild.
Bless them.
Yes.
And then the other end is like, okay, is it living up to the hype of what it is? It just seems like it's a plot device to get Omega belts, right? Like, and I'm not even sure that's working because, I mean, that is working, but like for Impact, I don't know. Omega's on the television. It popped the rating one time. Now they're just back to kind of normal, lower than normal, even with Omega there. It's just, I don't know what Impact is like fully gained from this outside of a little bit of extra exposure that hasn't actually meant anything.
So here's the deal. We have Hard to Kill is the only pay-per-view in this era, right, where they've worked together. This is the only one we've had. The rest are specials, and that's fine. I think it's fair to say the specials, while if you're into Impact, which I am enough to watch those, they're strong events, solid, well-produced events. They aren't, buzzworthy or particularly relevant events. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Hard to Kill did the second best pay-per-view buy since Spike TV. That sounds great. However, there is a big-time elephant in the room with that. It's second to Slammiversary last year. It was also an empty arena show, but was built around which WWE guys are we going to sign, which is kind of wild because they announced Gallows and Anderson the night before. So, but then again, I bought that show based off that, so that's fine. This next pay-per-view is the absolute key.
Yeah.
It has to do better than Hard to Kill. It simply has to because, I mean, a six-man did good.
If Rich Swann doesn't appear on AEW television before this pay-per-view, I think Impact got completely shafted in this deal.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to get him on the AEW program. It's nice that Omega's coming to Impact and everything. Like, that's cool. But, like, I need Rich Swann and Impact to almost, like, fire a shot back at AEW. But you're going to come to our territory all the time. You're going to show up in the Impact Zone. Callis is going to come run me down. I'm going to come to your home, and I'm going to take you out here. Like, if that doesn't happen, because right now the only people getting on AEW from Impact are the Good Brothers. Like, great and everything. But like you said, like, they feel more like AEW guys at this point. They're in actual AEW storylines where Omega, he's not in an Impact storyline. He's an AEW guy coming over to just take shit from Impact.
Yeah, and the other problem is, and this is kind of one of the big issues with these kind of partnerships, is if you like the Good Brothers, like, you now have no reason to watch them on Impact.
Yeah.
Because you just see them on the other show that's more popular in it. So then you start being like, what are they even, and this becomes kind of a complexity about like just promotional relationships in general. I guess the real key is, what did they hope would happen going in? So I think while clearly eyeballs-wise, Impact has not gained anything from this effectively, I think they are more relevant. I think they're more a part of the conversation because they're tied in with it. That isn't, I'm not saying that's perfect by any means, but what I'm saying is there was when we started doing this podcast, Jeremy, I had not watched Impact for years, and no one even asked me to watch it or comment on it, okay? Since Slammiversary, we spoke a little bit, and then with the AEW thing, it does feel like it's a part of like the rotation of conversation. Does that make sense? Like it's now escaped that kind of, I mean, bless them, but the set of shows like a Ring of Honor or an MLW that exist almost exclusively in their own little world, this is now part of the big, kind of wrestling picture. The question is if Omega just simply beats Rich Swann, and then drops it back in a kind of like, people don't really talk about it. He loses to Moose or whatever. It's like, I mean, they got spoke about, but then in the end, the take was, oh man, I wish more of these guys were just on the big show. Like it's a really difficult thing to handle with the small promotion. But the problem is, and I'm not saying it's to be dismissive of them, they have no leverage. Like, what's the impact? What can they really throw AEW's way? I mean, no, we're not going to let you use the Good Brothers. They don't want to upset the Good Brothers. So then you get into this weird, it's a tough dynamic. That's why it's not common in Major League, wrestling. I think this next pay-per-view is everything, man. I think not only the pay-per-view buy, but what happens after. If we have a situation where perhaps Kenny winning the belt is what causes a real kind of war, and we have Deonna showing up, and we have Chris Bay or whoever else, that's something. Now, that I kind of like the idea of like, it's the one thing to come in here and play, but now you're taking our shit, and Callis has completely betrayed his own promotion. I'm not ready to give up on it because that's still a month away. But right now, it's fair to say that in terms of hype, it certainly fell off from where it was. That much is clear.
So that was my kind of next question is, has it just simmered right now, and will it boil again in a month or even before? Because, Omega and Callis name dropped Ibushi, and so people are going to talk about Ibushi showing up. You hear the reports of Okada is going to show up at some point. Like, you hear all this stuff. The forbidden door is open, Joseph. I don't know if you've heard that term before, but it's open. And like anybody can show up anywhere. Do we think that down the line, like, we get more out of this? And for right now, it's just kind of, all right, let's kind of keep it even right now. And that's it. Oh, wait, we have, it seems like, speaking of the Impact,
no.
it is moving to Thursdays, Joseph.
Oh man, here we go, folks. The Thursday Night Wars lives
starting April 8th. So the week before WrestleMania, it's going up against the second night of TakeOver, which means, I think NXT TakeOver was on Thursdays first.
Oh, I mean, NXT TakeOver can't compete with the big guns over at Impact Wrestling, so I'm not even going to get into it. I don't watch NXT. You told me there was a contract, so I don't know what you're talking about. No clue. I think I watched that in Ring of Honor 8 years ago. It's cool. Nonetheless, Honor is real. It's gonna. I think it's hard to say with confidence, oh man, it's about to pick up, because there is a chance they've just realised it's actually really hard to do because AEW has 80 guys to get on their show as is. Like, I mean, here's the thing: they signed Paul White. What's Paul done on Dynamite thus far? Ethan Page did one match. He was off again. You're going to guys miss TV that are like on the roster. So being like, okay, let's bring Josh Alexander over. Like, it would be great. We love Josh, but they don't need more bodies. So it was always a weird dynamic from that regard. So I think there's really a chance that what we're getting here is just Callis loves Omega. Omega wanted to do him a favor. That's what you get. He's going to do a quick reign. He's going to give it back to whoever they want to, kind of crown as the new top guy. And if that's all they intended for it to be, oh, hell, they've done that. But whether it's worked or not, kind of seems like the jury's still out on that front. I don't know. Nonetheless.
I'm just reading on Impact moving Thursdays.
Okay. Is it a video of Mike Tenay saying, we listen to the feedback?
So the main event for the first Thursday is Omega and Good Brothers against Swan, Edwards, and Willie Mack. Make of that what you will. So Omega's going to wrestle on the first Thursday Impact. Again, that's going up against TakeOver, which is on the Peacock on Thursday. So I don't know how that's going to do. I mean, I think people want to see Kenny Omega wrestle a little bit, but dude, the man just had like a 20-minute match against Matt Sydal, and it was great. It was a great match, but like, I don't know if like Kenny Omega wrestling this 6-man match on a Thursday night for Impact is going to be like, oh man, can't miss this show now. Especially, I mean, TakeOver, NXT's banned and everything, but like TakeOver's TakeOver,
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, it's just that's the problem. Is it's become like completionist viewing for people that love these wrestlers.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if you really like, Gallows and Anderson, okay, cool, you have to watch them on Impact. Now it's like, I mean, you've seen them team with Kenny against the team of like Phoenix, Pac, and Mox. Listen, bless Eddie Edwards, Willie Mack, and Swan. They're not them guys. It's difficult. It's this complex one. Here's the thing, Jeremy. Here's the real truth of this. Do you trust Don Callis?
No.
I set you up for that. As the words came out of my mouth, I was like, "Oh, I don't think Jeremy does trust Don Callis."
No,
what do I do?
I'm a Tony Khan guy. I'm a TK.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But speaking of smash hit pay-per-views that everyone, Honor is Real anniversary show. Jeremy Lambert, how fired up are you for this? Ring of Honor, pure rules. Let's lock them up, baby. Here we go. There you go. There you go. How fired up are you, Jeremy?
Do you know who the main event is for this?
Yes, I do. It was Jay Lethal challenging for Ring of Honor Gold. I'm not, listen, I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I'm not like super clued in because I've stopped watching wrestling, as everyone knows. So I've missed like 2 weeks of Ring of Honor. I know that Shane Taylor Promotions is defending the six-mans. I want to say Dragon Lee has had to pull out.
Joseph, the viewership is dropping as we talk about Ring of Honor. What are we doing here?
Well, I wanted to just Honor is Real. Andrade's going there.
Look, bless Ring of Honor. No one cares about their show.
Okay, look, here's the deal. This is the thing we need to remember when we talk about Impact. First question, has Impact ever been as relevant as Ring of Honor is now? Now, before you answer this, I want to make this clear. I like the Ring of Honor product a lot. Which one relevance only, not quality. Jeremy, has Impact ever been as relevant as Ring of Honor is right now?
No, because they were always at least the de facto number 2, no matter what. Like, they were always number 2. And so, like, Ring of Honor is number 4 at best right now. Like, no one cares.
Yeah. Is there any roadmap back? Do we return to Honor at some point?
Andrade, apparently. They're going to throw 7 figures at him and, have him team with Roosh and just let them run wild. And it's gonna be all gravy at the Sinclair Studios.
This is a very sad conversation. Are we saying it's over? Are we saying that there is no death before Dishonor? Is that what we're saying? Is it over? Are they just gonna keep producing wrestling in this empty building forever and no one cares?
That's what's gonna happen. They're just gonna keep running shows. It'll be fine. Do you know how many contract announcements they've done over the past month? Like every single day I'm writing Ring of Honor signed Sledge, Ring of Honor signed Slex, Ring of Honor signed this guy and that guy. Yeah, who?
They're real names too.
What? Yeah, those are. Like what?
Okay, now speaking of losers, thoughts on Lou Williams being moved for Rajon Rondo?
So I was having this discussion with my friend when the rumors were out there that Lonzo was going to go to the Clippers, that they were pursuing him, and he was saying like, do they need a point guard? Like, is Patrick Beverly, like, is Lonzo that good? Was kind of the discussion. I was like, dude, yeah, like Lonzo's good. He's better than Patrick Beverly. He's better than Reggie Jackson. Like, he can score. And my friend's argument was just that, okay, but he can't like create his own shot and stuff, like getting to the rim and whatnot. I was like, I mean, he's still better than these guys, right? And then we looked at some numbers. It's like the problem with the Clippers is that Lou Williams has been terrible this season.
Yeah.
Like awful, just awful. The problem with this trade is that Rajon Rondo is not very good either.
It's basically a trade on like, here's a guy that's famous for struggling in the playoffs, and we're going to trade him for a guy that is like, I would say it's a myth, but in fairness, he was good for the Lakers in the playoffs. So like, bless him. I guess we're hoping Rondo is going to like just come back from the dead again, right? I guess he's like Ring of Honor.
That's the only way. That's the only way to do it. That's the only reasoning here, because look, Rondo's not that. He's not that good. He's averaging. I mean, I get he's only playing 15 minutes a game, but he's averaging 4 points and 3.5 assists. Like,
okay, let's stop talking about these losers. Let's talk about something good, okay? You sent him my way today.
Yeah.
How should I feel? Because my genuine take on the move was really like sharp move. The Lowry deal was looking very expensive. They were looking at, I think the report was 2 firsts, Tybal and Maxey.
Yeah.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
What we got here was we give up Bradley and we give Ferguson back, which he then went into the Knicks and the whole deal.
2 seconds, Joseph. We collected them seconds.
Good move, right? What do you think? Are you going to warn me this is actually bad? I'm not sure. Tell me.
Here's the thing with George Hill. He's played 14 games for OKC. Like, I can't say I've seen enough of George Hill to be like, oh, yeah, you're still getting like a very good player. He's played 14. His last game, I'm going to look this up right now. He has not played since. Where's the game logs at? Okay, here we go. George Hill has not played a game since January 24th. He hasn't played a game in 2 months, Joseph. I don't know if, like, I'm sure he's still good. He's averaging 11.8 points on 38% shooting from 3 this year. Like, his numbers are good. And I think George Hill, he's proven over the years that he's like a consistent and useful player, especially coming off the bench. But I just don't know. I haven't seen him play a game in 2 months. So it's tough for me to be like, oh, yeah, you got a really very good player. But I do think you got a good player.
I have a wrestling topic.
Sell me on Tony Bradley right fast, because Embiid is like...
You'll love him.
Okay, so he's winning the
right
title.
Hands. Yeah, he's good. He's a classic, like, he's just going to run up and down and try his heart out. Bless him. He's a good player. He's fun. Good.
I don't need that. I don't need that guy on OKC. I need guys who are just going to suck, like, who don't want to be there.
That's perfect. Like, he sucks, but he, like, does it in a sort of admirable way where you go, that's my guy. You know,
we got plenty of those guys.
Yeah, him and Hulbert is a tremendous dynamic.
Al
Move
is
out
still
with the
there.
4. He's great at the 4. Trust me, I've seen it.
Yeah, I've heard.
I have another wrestling topic.
Why?
Sometimes I like talking about wrestling. You know, last week we had this classic main event, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, and we said the big thing we said was momentum. Need to build on this momentum, right? 1 week later, we had a Britt promo that was pretty much. I mean, people received it very well. They liked it. Tate Conti got a huge win over Nyla Rose, which I saw coming, but not in like a clean, decisive fashion.
Right.
Through 1 week, what we saying? Thumbs up. Pretty good job, right? Did a good job this week.
Yeah, I thought we were on basketball talk. I thought we moved on from wrestling.
We didn't do anything interesting though. I don't want to talk about other teams.
Joseph, I was the Fiend to start this show. It was all downhill after that.
Well, look, I'll be honest with you. I'll be real, okay? I wanted to talk about Ring of Honor for an hour. And I wanted to talk about
you legitimately, I texted you and I was like, what are we talking about? And in the middle of me texting you this, you were already texting me what we were going to talk about. And Ring of Honor was on your topics list. And I'm like, what? Huh?
It's the anniversary show.
Good for him.
It's a historic promotion, you know. It's like 20 years old next year, right?
Joseph, I made it 4 years in my wedding anniversary. It doesn't mean it was good and it should have happened for that long.
Hang on. That was a reach for no reason. What are you doing yourself? Okay, fine.
Taking shots at my previous relationship, that's all.
Let's just leave it there, please. We don't need to go any further than that, right? Back to basketball, because that's what you said.
Thank you.
Who was the big winner today?
I really like what Denver did, getting Aaron Gordon. The issue with the Aaron Gordon trade is locker room stuff. Because, like, on the court, they're a better team, right? Like, Gary Harris is fine, but I don't think he's been playing that well today or this season. So they're a better team on the court. Locker room stuff, Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, like, very close and everything. I don't know how that upsets the locker room in Denver. You know, you got to think about that. I like what Portland did too, getting Norm Powell. And Miami got Oladipo, and it doesn't seem like it cost them much. I kind of think Oladipo, like, if Victor Oladipo is your third best guy, and he would be, like, Butler and Bam are better, right? Yeah. Like, if Oladipo is your third best guy, I think you're doing okay. I just don't think Oladipo is like the game changer that Miami fans probably think he is at this point.
No, I think, you know, if you look at what their team, from what I can gather, losing Crowder like really changed their dynamic, which I don't think they saw coming, right? Yeah. Like, they were nowhere near as kind of tough defensively. And like Oladipo should at least kind of shore things.
They got Ariza. They got Ariza too. I don't know if he's actually played for them, but
yeah, he got some wing. Like, it's fine. I think I like the Gordon move too. You know, like a guy who's swishy, good defender for the front court. I like that move definitely, because with Porter Jr. and Jokic, it's always a bit like. Speaking of such, the Bulls defense now. Oh my! They don't even cross half court. They just watch you do it. Have you seen this team now defensively? They move well and Otto Porter. So like now their front court is Markkanen and Vucevic. Levine's out there. You got Kobe. This team is insane. They're going to score. They're going to let in 150 every night. It's going to be ridiculous. But they did. I'm glad they just was like, let's try and be a good basketball team. Good for them, you know?
You may as well go for like that 8th seed and stuff. Charlotte seems like they might tail off with the injury to LaMelo. So I don't know where Boston's at. Boston got Fournier. Maybe that helps a little bit.
It's cool. He's a good scorer, right? It's a good move.
Yeah. So like there's a possibility you sneak into like that playoff game and upset and get in the playoffs out of that. So I don't mind what the Bulls did. Like, you got to do something. That roster wasn't going anywhere. You may as well make this move. I like Vucevic. Is that how you say it? Vucevic?
I don't know. Who cares?
Not true. I like him though. John Alba was trying to yell at me and be like, people thought the Magic were a top 5 team. Who, John Alba? What kind of drugs do y'all have in Orlando? Because I would like some of those.
Top 5?
That's what he said.
In the league or
John
in the
Alba
East?
told me.
In the East, right, good.
Still.
So that would mean
the
Sixers were the 6th seed last year. So who was
before the season? Before the season, I think pretty conclusively you could say the Bucks were going to be better based on last season. Yeah. The Bucks were going to be better. The Nets were going to be better because they were going to get Durant.
You would say the Heat because they made the finals.
Yes.
Right?
The Heat, the Sixers because they were still a very good team. The Celtics. And the Raptors.
They're locked. They were always going to be better, those 5 teams.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know where the Heat's record, I know, isn't what they hoped it would be, right? But, like, top 5 was craziness. Their ceiling was always low. It was never going to be that, you know?
Yeah, before the season. And I had the Raptors, too, because, like, the Raptors, they made it far last year, and they didn't lose. They lost Ibaka, and I guess they lost Gasol, but I still thought, dude, the Magic just seemed destined to be an 8th seed forever, honestly. Yeah. Like, They're an 8th seed roster.
And the thing is, with Fultz, like, bless his heart, like, people got carried away. And I wish him all the best, but if you actually looked at his numbers, like, it's so inefficient. And he was playing with freedom, that's good, but, like, he wasn't going to transform them into.
I was higher on the Hawks and the Wizards than the Magic. I'm a guy where I'm like, all right, who's the best player on the team? And then I'm going to take that team.
Tony Bradley.
I'm going to take that team over something like, you know, or Orlando, where I guess their best players is Vucevic or Gordon. And like, I like both of those guys, but like, I'm not taking them over Trae Young. I'm not taking them over Bradley Beal.
Speaking of defense, that Lou Williams, Trae Young lineup, the backcourt defense.
Their defense was already like
horrific.
A struggle. Because, like, they got Trey, they got now, I guess, Lou Williams, Gallinari ain't defending nobody. Like, I guess John Collins is okay defensively. Clint Capella can block some shots and stuff. But, like, yeah, their guard lineup just, whew. Well, they ain't trying to – they weren't going to be in it for defense anyway.
Oh, no, it's just going to be fun to watch. Like, it's not a story. I don't know. I think – I always feel like I repeat myself when we get to the end of these NBA bits, but it's like, I just feel like the Nets are a lock, and it really bums me out. The Sixers are playing really, like, they're so competent in a way that startles me, you know? But they actually just win games you expect them to win for the most part, and they haven't got Embiid and Simmons together. But that Nets team is, like, it's dangerous, very tough.
Yeah, the Nets are going to be difficult. All right, Joseph.
Setting up. Here he comes.
Yeah, we're setting up. Robert O'Neill is back.
We fought for it, guys. We fought for it.
Yes, tough negotiation process this weekend. Had to watch NWA with him. Had to watch Fastlane with him. Do you know what it's like sitting in a room with Robert O'Neill for 7 hours watching wrestling and hearing his takes the entire time?
It was pretty good.
It was god awful, is what it was, Joseph. Lucky I didn't hit him with another psychosis leg drop because it was god awful.
The fans love him, and we're glad to have him back. We're all pumped.
I don't get it.
He's over, man. He's over.
He's here. He's got his stupid, silly hat. You demanded a new hat, Joseph. This was part of the deal, right?
Yep.
He's got a new hat. All right. He's got a new hat. He's here. I think he's reviewing Young Rock. I don't know. He changes the format on me all the time. I get sick of it. Let's play the intro. Here we go. History final. Robert O'Neill's here. There we go. Hey, Robert O'Neill. What are you talking about?
Hey, guys. What's the bit? Robert O'Neill, here I am.
You have 3 minutes.
This is ridiculous. No, stop. This is not happening anymore.
I got 3 minutes, huh?
Joseph.
Sean Ross Sapp, that is you. That is not Robert O'Neill.
No.
You've been bullied by Jeremy Lambert again. And frankly, guys, I'm done with this. Okay,
No.
I give you one more week. I'm out of here.
Joseph,
you guys can deal with
Joseph,
this.
you needed a guy in a hat. He just left.
He just left.
Yeah.
He just left. I was gonna unbox this Sable action figure on the air. I mean, people are confused about the hat. My usually girthy hat is now thinned down because it got Psychosis leg dropped. So it flattened out a little bit.
It says definitely Bob O'Neill as your name. I don't.
Yeah. Is that not evidence enough?
Yeah.
I'm not Sean Ross Sapp. Sean Ross Sapp has his own name in the background. I've got a big plant because I'm Bob O'Neill.
There you go. I don't know why Joseph's so upset. Guys.
I am Bob O'Neill. Joseph, how do you feel?
Guys, we'll be on Twitch. I don't think Joseph is coming back. I think he just left. I'll be on Twitch at 4:30. O'Neill, you want to join us on Twitch talking NBA trades?
Joseph abandoned us on our Twitch. Would he
did.
prefer it if I wore the hat of a witch?
Maybe. I don't know. Do you have anything to plug, O'Neill? Do you want to plug anything?
I've got this Sable action figure.
Cool.
I don't do anything.
True.
Some of my former friends have started this site, SeanRossFap.com, where we talk about our favorite SRS WWE hate tweets that we beat off to in recent years, things that we experience for our own personal joy and his immense terror and shame. Of course, Joe didn't care about any of that. He was my friend through it all and supported me through it all, even though we were terrible to a guy that made him in Sean Ross Sapp. It's a good life. It's a really good life. I want to thank you for the alterations that you made to my hat. Experiencing the Psychosis leg drop was horrifying. It was horrifying, but you know what? It was worth it. You made me famous. It was my being thrown off the Hell in a Cell moment. I was little do people know I was actually lying there as you did it on camera too. Factual. That's all I have.
Thank you, Bob O'Neill, for joining us.
Definitely Bob O'Neill.
We'll see you next week. Robert O'Neill's. This has been Robert O'Neill's Corner 3.
History final. Bang!
There we go. Everybody, we'll be on Twitch at, I like the post, hold the follow through. That's what you got to do. We'll be on Twitch at 4:30 for the post show. I don't know who's going to be there. Maybe O'Neill. Maybe it's just me. I don't know what we're doing. Everybody, take care. Happy birthday. Talk to y'all later.